Hello, I'd like to continue my thoughts concerning Rosemary's Baby and things about it that stuck with me. And mind you, this is not a review. This is not me sharing my thoughts on what I think the liter or the cinematic quality of the movie is. This is more about things concerning the movie in a if you look at it as a I don't know, maybe a psychic phenomenon, because everything that's put out there into the ether, everything that we are made to touch, taste, hear, see, every work of art, every piece of media, that is floated out before our eyes. You know, both the good and the bad, but from the very low quality to the high quality. Everything that gets out there represents some kind of psychic effect, and it has reverberations. It always has reverberations, especially if it's a major cultural phenomenon, which is what Rosemary's Baby was. It did very well at the box office, and it inspired a lot of movies that came after it. And I guess the argument could be made that it changed the horror genre in some significant ways. The director of it is, needless to say, a problematic fellow. I don't like to use the word problematic either, just like I don't like to use the word creepy. But but just because those are two words that have been abused, in my opinion. But in any case, I'm looking at the certain things about the movie that that got my attention that I wasn't really expecting, because I basically knew what it was about. I basically knew where it was going. I'd never seen it before, but I'd heard a lot about it prior to having seen it. And what I can't get out of my mind is just how eerily it presages or presages. I don't know how to pronounce. I'm not sure which pronunciation is right. I'm sure one of you will correct me. It looks ahead. It, if you will, predictively programs the murder of Sharon Tate, Roman Polanski's wife at the time. There are, but the movie was filmed and was, I don't know, I'm not sure when it was filmed, but I know it was released in 1968, a year before the notorious Manson murders. And there are so many parallels between the story of the movie and the real life situation regarding Roman Polanski and his wife who met an unfortunate end, Sharon Tate. There are lots of parallels. You have an ambitious, in this case, actor, but somebody in showbiz, who wants to make it big, and you get the feeling he'll do anything to make it big, and up to and including selling his soul to a cabal of Satanists who want to see to it that his wife is impregnated with the devil's seed. I mean, that's going pretty far. So you have a very hyper ambitious man, played by the director John Cassavetes in the movie. In this case, just being an actor. But he is the husband, and the wife is this this pretty blonde. Okay, so it's very hard not to see a parallel there with Polanski and Sharon Tate, another famous blonde, who had a very unfortunate thing happened to her. Now, it's not exactly parallel because Mia Farrow's character doesn't end up getting murdered, but there are scenes where she is extremely pregnant. Just like on the occasion of the murders at Cielo Drive. Sharon Tate was also extremely pregnant. She was 9 months pregnant. Basically about to give birth. I don't know, certainly within weeks, maybe even days, and that's what adds an extra dimension of horror to what happened to her. Of course, that the murderer not only took her life but took her unborn child's life. That's what makes it so horrifying. But it's so hard to separate what you see cinematically on the screen in Rosemary's Baby from what actually happened in real life involving the director's wife. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. But it's another one of those things. I'm not just going to say, oh, well, sheer coincidence. Like I talked about in the video prior to this one. I don't believe that is true. There is a scene late in the movie where they've taken, like, the baby has been born, and at first they try to convince her that the baby died, that he didn't make it, because it had to be a home birth, and the doctor said he was turned in the wrong direction or something like that. But then she's being doped up. She's being kept in her bed, and they're taking her breast milk, and she's hearing a child crying in another room. So she knows that the child isn't dead. What does she do? Well, after she surreptitiously hides some of the pills that they give her, some of the sleeping pills that they give her to knock her out, she gets up. First thing she does is she goes to the kitchen and grabs a huge knife. So you have this image of a woman holding a knife in this movie, which has been about this pregnancy. What's she intending to do with the knife? It's not clear. She finds her way into this hidden room where all of the creepy Satanists are, and she comes in holding this knife just very conspicuously. What was her plan in doing that? It's never quite clear. Is she intending to do some violence towards the child because she has an inkling that it might be a demon spawn? I don't know. There's nothing we've seen from her before that would make us think that would be the case. Was she planning to use it as self-defense? Was she maybe going to go in and try to take the baby away from the Satanists and and defend herself with a knife? Was that her plan? It's not clear. But there's something about the presence of that knife which is incredibly disturbing, given what how it echoes what actually took place on Cielo Drive to Sharon Tate, the wife of the director. And of course, it's been noted how a couple of people who are working on this movie met unfortunate circumstances. Immediately afterwards. There's you could just look up Rosemary's Baby cursed movie and find out a lot of stuff, a lot of lore surrounding this movie, and it's a movie that again, it has this. I guess this is how do I begin to approach talking about this? One wonders what was the point of this movie? Why was this movie made? And of course, those who just want to skim the surface of things, or who don't believe that there's that the entertainment industry is full of very dark people doing very dark things. They just think to themselves, well, it's just a horror movie. It's just meant to make you feel, to entertain you by making you feel creeped out, and that's all there is to it. But there's so much stuff in it about God, like the shot where she's in the doctor's office and she picks up Time magazine and asks, "Is God dead?" There's a lot about dates, like the child is set to be born on June 28th. I don't know if this has probably been stated somewhere else. I don't know if that's some holy day for dark pagan types, where at some day where they, I guess it's close to the summer solstice, isn't it? But I don't know. That's something I'd have to look up, because that date, June 28th, gets repeated often. So in the movie we have this is something else that's interesting. It's a very old cast for the most part, except for the young couple. Everyone else who lives in this apartment complex around them are people over 60, and they have an older doctor, Dr. Saperstein, who's obviously working in coordination with the satanic cabal, and he's also on the elderly side. I mean, not old, but getting up there. The elderly couple who basically take over her pregnancy and give her stuff to like drinks with herbs in it and stuff like that on a regular basis, and and she's told to stop seeing a particular doctor and start seeing their doctor, the doctor that they recommend, who's worked with the stars, who's got this pedigree. Plus, there was the girl who lived there before her that this older couple took in, supposedly out of the goodness of their hearts, and who commit suicide in the early part of the movie by jumping out of a window, or maybe she's pushed. We don't know. It's never exactly revealed. But it would seem like, I guess, there's three ways of looking at the story, what happens over the course of the story. One way is to just say it's just a movie. It's in no way congruent with the way things actually happen in reality in showbiz. It's very strange, though. It's not strange exactly, but it's a meta sort of thing, in that you have a movie about somebody who's in show business trying to make it big, struggling to make it big, having to fight for roles, for different roles in different things like commercials or plays or whatever, and he's getting help from these dark people, these seemingly harmless older people, although they're never that harmless seeming. This other couple, they're really annoying. They're really pushy. They always want to come in and help and make and take control of the situation, and there's something quite grotesque about them. It's like especially about the woman. There's something in her that just has this. There's something just really nasty in her soul, in her psyche, even though she gives off the appearance of just being a kind of grandmotherly, garrulous, harmless older woman. She there's something about the way she's dressed and the way that she looks and the way that she talks that's not just annoying. But anyway, I was starting to say there's three ways you could look at it. One, that it's a story about somebody, a husband who wants to be in show business, selling out his wife, allowing his wife to become impregnated by the devil in order that the Antichrist may be born, in order to improve his career, just opportunistically doing whatever it takes, because you do whatever you can to get famous. So there are two other ways of looking at it. It could be looked at as exposing what happens in showbiz, exposing the fact that these kinds of things go on. And the third possibility is similar to the second, but different in the sense that it's not being done for the purpose of exposing it, really, of exposing anything, of doing the right thing, shining light into these dark corners of showbiz in order to cause people to see what's there, and therefore to reject it, to see it as a filthy industry that is filled with murderous Satanists and occultists. But again, the third possibility is a kind of revelation of the method, and that's, I guess, where I'm landing with this movie. Because just think of Roman Polanski. Think of the life that he led. Think of his crimes, the things that he did. And obviously he led an extremely sleazy life, even beyond what he was found guilty of, charged with having done, raping a 13-year-old, which was apparently one of many young girls whom he raped. But this was the one where he actually had charges filed against him, and this took place in an actor's home, in Jack Nicholson's home, apparently. So, that where's the complicity of these Hollywood bigwigs in providing a space for this pervert director, photographer, to rape young girls? Anyhow, since Polanski is clearly, what's the right word here? An unsavory customer. I am guessing that this movie, of course, the movie is based on a novel that came before it, but I'm guessing that this movie, and probably the novel as well, aren't meant to shine a light and enlighten people and help people to see what's really going on in Hollywood. It's more like, this is the way it is, and we're all part of it, and we're not changing, and this is the way we are. This is who we are. Revelation of the method, as it's often called. And we see how, in the end, even after Rosemary becomes aware of the true identity of her child, and the final scene is a little over the top. Today it would come across as a little corny, when all of these all of these poorly dressed septuagenarians, in this room are shouting, "Hail Satan! Hail Satan! Hail Satan!" They would have to do it a little differently today, because it kind of comes across as a little over the top. But that's more what was acceptable in movies back then. There was a greater tolerance for melodrama and for what today we would call cheesy scenes, cheesy dialogue, cheesy acting, and so forth. But there's so much about, like, the God is dead. This is the year zero. This is. I mean, the in the end, the child is the Antichrist, and Mia Farrow is going to raise the child anyway and take care of the child, in spite of knowing its origins. But the holding of the knife, that really stood out to me. I talked about other things in the movie that that kind of had an impact on me for more personal reasons. But why there was this plot, this theme about Satanists, and how Satanists go, how this coven of Satanist witches goes about doing its work, and the influence that they have, and of course it was all filmed in the Dakota apartment building, famous or infamous. It was the place where, just outside of the building, John Lennon was killed a few years later, supposedly by a fan an obsessed fan who had turned against him, if you believe the official story of Mark David Chapman. But I think there's a lot there to question, personally. There's something also very off-putting about the attitude that the people in the movie have towards apparently a lot of the atrocities which had taken place previously in this apartment building. How there was cannibalism. There was some family who cooked and ate their children. There were other murders and other occultic things, and one black magician was lynched by an unruly crowd, sometime in the late 1800s, just outside of this building. Again, it's not called the Dakota building; it's called something else. But that's where it was filmed, and one somewhat wonders about that, what that's all supposed to mean. I guess it's set among, rich Upper East Side New York people, again showing power and influence. Comes with a price, and it's a price that Rosemary's husband is willing to pay. But I just can't ignore how it ties in with reality, how it ties in with what happened to the actual wife of the actual director of this movie, who we know is a deeply unsavory man. And again, another blonde bombshell, Sharon Tate, just like in the movie, Mia Farrow is a young pretty blonde, who has who faces this enormous trauma, pregnancy, and then we have Sharon Tate, 9 months pregnant, getting horribly murdered. What's going on there? That would happen a year later, a year after this movie was made, is something that I don't think can just be ignored. So those are my concluding thoughts on Rosemary's Baby, and the things that that stood out to me, the things that affected me about it. And it's not so much a review of the movie again, because I mean, I guess it was a good movie as far as being well made and all of that, but I find it harder to just have an aesthetic perspective on this movie, even though it's fine, it's valid to aesthetically evaluate anything, no matter if it's done by somebody who's a terrible person who committed terrible crimes. Still, the art as art, it deserves to be looked at as its own thing. I deeply believe that, but in this case, I didn't really watch the movie with that in mind. So, this movie was released in 1968, but it's set in 1965 and 66, and they follow those calendars, the calendars from those 2 years. That also is really quite interesting, and it makes me wonder what's up with that. And might there have been a birth of some Antichrist figure, or someone who the showbiz elites thought was an Antichrist figure at around that time. I guess 66 is, you could say, it's short for 666. I don't know. Maybe that's reading too much into it. But and June 28th, I don't know what you can do with that numerologically. Again, numerology is not my bag at all. But it does make you wonder a lot of things, because I don't believe these movies are just movies. I don't believe that's the case with practically any movie, any conspicuous movie. I guess that some are made for the sheer purpose of art, and that there are some directors in Hollywood who are enabled to just stay on that path. But more often than not, they smuggle things in. Even the quality directors, like Polanski was a skilled director. I grudgingly will admit that, because he was such an awful man. But these are the kinds of things that come across my mind in assessing this film. So let me know your thoughts below, if you have any, and thanks for watching.